Hi guys, and welcome back to Switch Up. We've got another of our buy, avoid or wait for a sale lists for you of many of the games that have literally just released on the Switch and we just haven't had time to review.
Yep, as Mark said, we've got 10 games for you here that have come out in the last couple of weeks or so. So without further ado, let's get into it.
First one on our list is Luka, Born of a Dream. It released a few weeks back. This is an interesting top-down action-adventure game where you take on the role of Luka. The whole thing is within a strange dream world, and as you'll see from the visuals, it is very unique. It has excellent combat and a good story. It just has a real mystery and charm about it. I like these visuals. They won't be for everyone, but I enjoyed them. The game follows many of the traditional action RPG tropes, but there's also a stamina system that makes combat a real dance between maintaining your stamina and doing enough damage not to get yourself killed. There are several sections where you are almost pinned into an arena where you have to clear all the enemies before you can move on. I was really impressed by this, and it's a shame that we didn't get around to review it, but it is most definitely a buy.
Next up then we have Beholder 2. This is set in a totalitarian state which is ruled by someone called the Great Leader, and the setting really reminded me quite heavily of something like George Orwell's 1984 or even Alan Moore's graphic novel V for Vendetta. You play as newly recruited Ethan Redgrave, being enlisted by various people to spy on his colleagues. He is told quite early on that he's in a nest of vipers and needs to be the king of the vipers to come out alive. Now gameplay wise, Beholder 2 is a time management sim with you having to use the hours of the day to complete various tasks and therefore earn yourself more money and prestige. It's an interesting story with gameplay mechanics that begin to lose their luster after a little while. At £13.49 or about $15, I would personally say wait for a sale of around 25%, but if you do enjoy the dystopian setting described, you may well enjoy this enough to pick it up at full price.
Ittle Dew is a really simplified action RPG from a traditional top-down view. I enjoyed this a lot, but the main thing that I enjoyed about it was just how funny it is. The cutscenes in between are very self-referential, and I enjoyed the female lead. She's quite quirky. There are some really tricky puzzles in here despite the simplistic look. Combat's very easy for the most part, but it's those trickier dungeon puzzles that I enjoyed. New skills are given to you as you earn coins in the game and then get to spend those in the shop, but the whole experience is quite streamlined. When you get to that area within a dungeon, you can then teleport straight back to the shop, and the next item that you can buy will always be the only one that you can afford. It's designed to just be a fun game to play, and I think they've done an excellent job. If you haven't played any of these, I would strongly recommend picking this up.
Right, next up then is a game called Gunpowder on the Teeth, and this will be the first avoid of this list unfortunately. This game sells for a cheap price of about £4.49 with a further 50% off if you own one of the previous games published by Forever Entertainment. Now at this cheap price, the gameplay almost reminded me of a 2D Cannon Fodder, a series that I really enjoyed back in the day. But the game's problems lie within the fact that you cannot see the enemies at times because of the Game Boy type aesthetic, and also the platforming felt a little bit off because the controls are just a bit sloppy. Now for us to say avoid a game that goes for so cheap really does show you that it's not the best of games unfortunately. I was really disappointed in this one because I wanted to like it, but even at this cheap price I would have to say it's an avoid.
Yeah, exactly like Glenn said, it's such a shame. All they need to do is take all of the enemies in the game, make them stand out against the backdrops, and it's instantly a better experience. I constantly died by I didn't know what, and that was annoying. The next game is called Taimuman Complete Edition, or Taimuman Complete Edition, and it is inspired by, I think you said, the Mega Man games, yeah? It's inspired by the Mega Man games. Now obviously I didn't know that because I don't really do retro gaming so much as Glenn, but I enjoyed this one. It's just very simplistic. You need to know what you're getting into here. It's a side scroller, you have your double jump, you've got your dash move. It looks a little bit like Celeste, but it's not as good as Celeste. You go on several different missions to kill certain bosses. Everything about it's quite simplistic. You can kind of float your way up, jumping off of all the surfaces. You're never in any huge amounts of danger, and if you die, it just respawns you right on that screen. For me, I'd say pick this one up on a sale.
Next game is called Exception, which is a platformer with an interesting perspective shift mechanic. You traverse the levels using a variety of double jumps, wall jumps, etc. But every so often you'll reach a certain point that when you touch it, it will flip the screen and you'll see the level from a new perspective. Overall, this was a very enjoyable game. What I would say is the controls felt floaty. It wasn't game breaking by any stretch, it just wasn't quite spot on. But the game has a very interesting theme. You're inside a computer, which I really enjoyed, and the game itself is very fun. This would be a buy for me.
Yeah, I'd say definitely a buy for me as well. A fun game for sure, has a bit of a Tron feel to it, and the synth music is beautiful. Okay, the next game is called Never Give Up, and this is definitely one that you would give up on, Glenn. After a certain number of tries and a certain amount of time, you get the option to give up. This is an enjoyable game. Yes, it's a lot like Super Meat Boy, but if you finish with that title, then this might be one to look at. While I enjoyed it, I'd say it's a touch expensive right now, about £12. For me, this would be perfect at around about £8, maybe. So maybe about a 30 or 40% sale. This is one to add to your wish list.
Oh good, there's more! Good! Why is this so hard?
Anyone that's watched the channel for more than 5 minutes will know that I am a bit of a space nerd. And the next game is Subdivision Infinity DX, which I believe was on mobile. You're going to have to correct me there if I'm wrong. Now, this is a much more arcade experience than some of the other space games on the Nintendo Switch, but you might like that. It drops you quickly into missions, ranging from destroying bases to defending ships. The thing about this one is it handles really well and the visuals are lovely and is running nice and smoothly. It runs on the Unreal 4 engine, and as you can imagine, that makes it look damn crispy. The game is fun enough. I was a bit disappointed to see it didn't have motion controls, but you also get your upgrade system, you can change out your loadouts and ships, and if you're in the market for a more action-based space game, this might be one to pick up. For the price of £11.99 with no silly in-app purchases or any of that noise, it's a very good space game, and I would recommend it as a buy.
Next up then we have Turok II, which joins its predecessor on the Nintendo Switch. This goes for about £15.79, but has also had the multiplayer aspect of it removed, bizarrely. Now, I'm not saying anything detrimental about the quality of the game, but I do think the recent release of Doom 3 at £7.99 really has shown this one up.
That's a really good point, actually. Imagine if they put something like split screen co-op into this. Now that would have sold like hotcakes. Having said that, it is a very good port and it's running really nicely. The motion controls are good, and I would suggest maybe just checking out our Turok I review because the experience experience is very similar to that, except you're in space. The sale has just ended on this one, which is a shame if you were thinking about getting it, and for me this would be a pickup in a sale.
Yeah, again, if you're basing it just on its quality alone, then I would probably say buy, but considering that it is an older game now and Doom 3 has shown the way forward, I would say it's a sale pickup for me.
The last game is one that intrigued me for a while. It's called Far Lone Sails, and I've probably put in a few hours into this one. It's a very short game actually, so there's not much more for me to do until I finish it. You essentially, early on in a post-apocalyptic world, find it's almost like a steam-powered vehicle that you have to recharge with little canisters that you pick up throughout the world. There's also a little bit of micromanagement to it, where you have to pull levers, put in the fuel, and then push a button and keep the button pushed to get the thing moving along. It's a very unique game, and the art style is delightful on this one. A more slow-paced experience. I think it's really interesting that they included that almost micromanagement of your ship, because it adds the game into the experience, rather than most walking simulators where you're doing just that, and sometimes it can feel a little boring at times. You're constantly on your toes here, trying to keep everything ticking over nicely. And I would say it's a buy, but you do, as Glenn's just said to me, need to know what you're letting yourself in for. It's a very short experience. There's not a huge amount of challenge here, but it is just one of those experiential games that you're going to remember for a while.
Okay, that's the end of our list. Please do let us know if you've picked any of these up already. What did you think of them? Do you agree with our recommendations? Are there any other games that you would like to recommend to fellow subscribers or watchers of the channel? Stick them in the comments section below.
Yeah, big thanks for all the support that you've shown Glenn and I, as we obviously got our Square Enix press acceptance, and they've started to give us pre-release games, which is incredible. We have some big reviews coming up next week. Please do be active down in the comments as we give away a free Nintendo Switch game each and every month to the person who's most active.
A quick thank you to our patrons, of which there are now 61. Don't forget that there is a separate draw for a game for the Patreons as well, if you would like to join that ever-growing band. Take it easy, and until next time, happy gaming.
Hello everyone, my name is Arditha, or as Mark likes to say, the Sound Guy, and I'm the one responsible for making sure that all of these voiceovers sound nice and rich for you wonderful viewers. Mark has been extremely generous and has asked me to spend a quick moment getting to know you guys and explain what I do on my channel. My channel is primarily based around Dead by Daylight, a game that has just been released for the Nintendo Switch, and what I do is coach players and teach them how to play at their top possible performance. Alongside this, I also do horror story readings, which is ideal for anyone who needs something to listen to as they do their work or study, or just needs something to fall asleep to. So if you're into any of that, then come check me out. Thanks a lot.
For all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. See ya!